thank you very much for agreeing to talk to me and for taking the
That's
time
okay.
out. Um,
Pleasure.
but I know we've spoken before, but for those who don't know you and your work,
hmm
what do you do? Who do you do it for?
Right, okay. So my name is Michelle Harris, and I'm the founder of the Hummingbird Centre, but I've also recently been given the role of CEO as well, because everybody reports into myself. So the board said, we need to define you more than other than being the founder. So I thought, oh, great, thanks. But what we do is we support people who are impacted and affected by cancer. So that can be from the age of 4 upwards, and that can be from diagnosis to end of life. But what's really important more than anything, though, is we actually focus on the entire family network. Because obviously sometimes when we enter the world of the cancer journey, a lot of people focus on the person and actually don't focus on the surrounding network. And it's really difficult for them because they don't really know what's ahead of them. They don't really know how to support the person. And it could also be difficult for them as well because it can sort of zap their energy and their time. So what we often say to a guest support network is what do you want? What are you looking for? And it sometimes catches them a bit by surprise, because they'll often say, oh, no, 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 it's not about me. I don't need it. I'm not worthy. It's all about, X, Y, Z. And we sort of like, so, well, actually, it's not. Because if suddenly Michelle becomes really ill with her journey and you're only running on half pot, then what happens to you? So then that gives them a bit of a food for thought as well. So yeah, so that's where we're a little bit unique, because we try and focus on everybody that's impacted because as we all know when we enter the world of cancer, it does challenges and it does changes whether we like it or not, and we have to try and take control of the cancer rather than the cancer control you or your life or your individual unit setup. So yeah, hopefully that in a nutshell sort of tells you, explains to you what we do.
Yeah, well, you've been given, is it an MBE? Was it a Queen's
Yeah.
Award?
Yeah, we were given the Queen's Award back in 2018, by the late Queen. And we, at the time when we were awarded it, we were the youngest charity in Oxfordshire to be awarded with an MBE. So I have to remind people that it's not mine. I have to say it is the Hummingbird Centre and not mine personally. But yeah, so we're really proud of that because that sort of endorsed the work that we do because we're all volunteers. So we have a group of 60 volunteers in total, and that's a mixture of complementary therapists, counsellors, and people that come in and do the different kind of workshops that we run for the well-being, like the Tai Chi, the yoga, the karate, the dancing, sound bath. There is another as well, and I always forget it, it'll come to me. So we have the professionals that come in, but they give us their time voluntary. So they take time away from their own businesses to come and support what we do, which is amazing. And then we have we have 30 counsellors. So they're a mixture of trained counsellors, those who are training, and those who just would like to give something back to the hummingbird. And we support not only the person for counselling, but we also support the network and especially those who have gone through loss and bereavement as well, because it usually hits them after the events happened and then after they've dealt with the probate and the funeral and all those kind of things. And then we have those, as I call our eyes and our ears, so they're the core ones that will make the cup of tea. Sorry, my cat's about to gate crash.
Oh, that's
um
okay. Hi.
We're about to,
Okay.
those who make the cups of teas, the coffees, and they listen and they spend an awful lot of time listening to our guests as well. So they're really
Mm.
important. So yeah.
Yeah, and it is because the one thing I think I don't talk about enough is anticipatory grief. We've
Mm,
known for 2 years that he's not going to get any better. And
mm,
every time we're thrown a curveball, my knee-jerk reaction is, this is it. This
mm,
is it. And then the whole thing, I can't, even. Um, we do things like we go to chapel to start the new school term off. And when cancer throws us a curveball, I can't
Mm,
even do it because I know there are certain phrases like we're going to pray for the sick and we're going to pray for people that need help, and that will trigger me off. And it's
mm,
just waiting for that moment,
mm.
but also trying not to let it define the time that you've got.
Yeah, that's true as well. So my background's end of life. So when I used to have guests come to me, they'd say to me, "Well, look, I've been with this timeline," and I say, "Yeah, well, that's fine, but you know
Mm,
what? Let's just park it. Let's put it to one side, and let's concentrate on right here, right now." Because sometimes, guests want to just sort of like say, what do I need to do? How do I tell my family? How do I tell my loved ones what I would like or what I need to
mm,
do? So we just go through the basics, but you're right. It's just facing that sometimes we don't want to because we don't feel we need to, but then sometimes you may have those who want to look at it, want to deal with it, and put processes in place. There's never a right or wrong time
yeah,
to sort things out, but it's always those who are left behind that have to try and pick it up. So I always often encourage our guests, if you can give those who are left behind a bit of a clue, it does help in the long run, whether you
mm,
like to talk about it or not. And then what you could do then is just put it in an envelope, put it away, and just and leave it. It's there, it's done then, and you've done your bit. But yeah, you do, and but we have to remember as well, people can live for many, many, many years, even though
yeah,
they're living with cancer. It's just one of those words, I suppose, where years ago you'd have the diagnosis and you'd think, well, that's it, it's a death sentence. But it isn't today as much
no,
as what it used to be. And I think sometimes that's a little bit down to education. It's a little bit down to not focusing in on that word, and just
yeah,
trying to carry on, but in a different way. You just change the way that we would live our life, not say struggling, but trying to cope with whatever is chucked at you. And like you say, you see people go on and doing amazing things, and they perhaps look at their goals in life a little bit differently and go
yeah,
out and grab them while they can, but they create memories that are good memories rather than
yeah,
memories that stay with us that are sad.
yeah,
And challenges as well. We have to face them in a different way as well, which is sometimes can be exciting in itself.
yeah. I was having that conversation with somebody today, and I kind of said that it just shifts your perspective.
Yeah.
It helps you. There will be days like today where I've gone from one thing to the next and just kind of gone, oh. And there are other days where I just don't sweat I don't sweat the small stuff because there's bigger stuff going on. But that's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing here. It's an education thing. Cancer isn't a death sentence. It's not
No.
always a case of you handed it, you get your affairs in order, you start making, we make memories anyway.
Mm.
And I have core memories from just silly things that we've done, not because we've got on the phone to make a wish have helped and they've given us a really nice Christmas. But that's not where my memories have come from. They've come from like cooking with him or, things that are just everyday bit.
Yeah. And
Uh,
that's important as well because it's part of every day. It shouldn't
yeah,
dominate what you do. It shouldn't take over either, which is what we try and do at the Hummingbird is we
mm,
try and encourage people to take control of the cancer rather than the cancer control them.
yeah,
And when you say that to them, they look at you a little bit gone out, I guess, as they say, well, what on earth are they on about? And
yeah,
you just say, well, you just carry on as best you can. Don't
yeah,
make it the focus of, what you're having to deal with all the time. And I suppose that's where we are a little bit unique because we try and concentrate on the well-being of the persons rather than the actual, well, we're not medical and we don't perceive to be medical. So we rely on the medical world, as we say, who will try and fix you, and we will come and pick you up emotionally, mind,
yeah,
body, and the soul kind of scenario. And I
yeah,
think if you can have, if you're a bit healthier impact of that, that contributes to the longevity of your, your journey as well. I
Yeah.
can only go by our personal experience, which with my pops, he was diagnosed in 2006. He was 60, never been ill in his life. My parents were coming up to enjoying retirement. They'd done their bit as mum and dad and grandparents. And yeah, and then we got hit with that curveball. And it's just like, where did that
Yeah.
come from?
Yeah.
And he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. And I remember our GP saying to us, the two words you don't want to hear are acute and myeloid. And I said, oh, he's bound to get that.
Oh,
And he did, he got
yeah.
that full thing. And he was, he was diagnosed with it on Christmas Eve. And that was
Wow.
like even worse because he loved Christmas and he was very family orientated and he just broke down in tears. And I just looked at him and thought, oh my God, that's my pops. He's beside himself. And I
Mm.
remember looking at his consultant and, Han Hunter and saying, well, what difference does one, a few more hours make? He said, it'll make a lot of difference because he said he might not be here. And it's like, okay, you better get there and get on with get on with your chemo sort of thing.
Yeah.
But he had a positive mindset and he was quite strong as well. So when he did pass away, which was in 2008, because originally we were only given 6 months from diagnosis. But he lived life to the full. He just carried on being dad, carried on being his husband, Cam carried on giving his challenges, and just being dad. And every time we tried to wrap him up, he was quite angry with it as
Yeah.
well. And he said,
Yeah.
I'm still me.
Yeah.
Never forget that sort of thing. Right up until the day, he died.
Yeah. Yeah. So so Jacob is just the same, where just before we were told, just before his 16th birthday, we were told that it's potentially moved.
Mm,
Um, and we were going to wait. He wants a big, expensive present for his birthday, and he said, it's fine, push it back to Christmas. And
yeah.
after that, I kind of said, no, it's fine. I want to pull it forward. I want to make it happen. And he said, why? Why do you want to make it happen? And I said, no, I want to watch you
Yeah,
enjoy it now. And he said, well, you get to watch me enjoy it at Christmas time, don't you? What are you implying? I know what you're implying.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
gets quite angry about it because you try and talk about how it was before, and he goes, we don't talk about that.
No, because and I get that with him, to be honest
Mm.
with you, because it's here and now. What's done's done, and
Yeah.
what's ahead of us. Yes, we can plan certain steps, but we can't plan it all. So deal with the here and now. So yeah, I don't blame him, to be honest with you.
No, no, he has. It's like when you're trying to, with the hummingbird, make sure that people remember that cancer is not the identity.
Hmm.
That's what he does. He does, like, I'm Jacob. Yes, I've got cancer, but it's not, that's not who I am. I want you
Yeah,
to be able to see me,
yeah,
and then I might bring it up. But I want to be able to do that on my terms, and I think
yeah.
he's owned that the whole way through.
Mm.
Um, and is that why? I mean, when Jacob was diagnosed, I wrote a book for other parents. I mean, is the hummingbird because of your own experience, or is it because you've noticed a gap? What kind of sparked it off? Because I think I've been to the hummingbird, and I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
And
Well, it's a mixture of all of that, really, because when my dad was diagnosed and we were going for his treatments, he suggested that we went for a coffee and something, which was nothing unusual. We always used to do that anyway. And as we sat down, he also looked me in the eye and said, Maisie, things are on the move. And I knew what he meant by that. And then
mm,
he said, there's two things I'm going to ask of you now. And I thought, oh God, what now? So he said, and neither you'll be able to say no to. So I said, okay. He
okay,
said, the
great.
firstly, yeah, thanks for that. First, you need to promise me you'll create something good out of our loss as a family. And I hated him. I've got to say, I absolutely
Mm,
hated him for that because he
mm.
just told me that he knew his time was up. And then secondly, he said, you're going to have to pay the bills because I've not bought my wallet. And it was his idea in the first place, which was my pops all over. And he did that to me on the Tuesday as he passed away in his sleep on the Sunday, peacefully with my mum. But that's gone the promise that I made for my pops has gone beyond that.
Mm,
There was a gap when we first came to Bicester, when I first came, and you know, I couldn't believe that, to be honest with you. And I suppose we've evolved over time because we're getting into our 12th year now, by just listening to our guests and what they've needed. And then we've tried to adapt what we can. I've often said to the team and our centre manager, Zoe, well, let's try it. If it works first time, great. If it doesn't, we tweak it. If it still doesn't work, walk away from it because it's not right for that moment in time.
mm,
So yeah, it's listening to our guests and it's listening to the professionals and trying to tweak it. So, for example, we launched our men's support group. We all know what men are like. They're not the easiest to get to engage and reach out to you.
mm,
So last year we thought, well, let's just bite the bullet and go for it. We launched it in the September. We did an open evening. We were quite surprised. We had about 40 people attend. And we sort of like turned it around and we sort of like said, okay, we're the venue, we're providing the facilitators, but you're actually going to tell us what it is you want because
mm,
we don't know, sort of thing. And you know what? We were absolutely astounded. So we held the first one on the 3rd of October, and we had 25 men turn up. And since then, the numbers have just increased, and they've had a games night, they've had a curry night. So they had a curry and a quiz last month. This month in May, they've got cheese and wine. So they're bringing different things. They've got a snooker table now, no, pool table, sorry. They've got a darts board. They have a different array of games. They've got a table tennis table. So without them realizing it, they're actually supporting each other, but they're not making it the topic of conversation.
mm.
So that's where we're a little bit different, I suppose. I keep saying we're a little bit different, we're a little
No,
bit
you are
unique,
though.
but we
You
are.
are.
We tend to listen to what our guests want, because that's the other thing as well. Someone says, well, why do you call me a guest? I said, because you are. I said, you're a
Mm,
guest of your hummingbird. It's there for you. You take what you want. You're not a patient, you're not a file, you're not a number, you're a person. And actually, when we opened back in 2014, we asked those who attended, what would you like to be called? And they said, well, I guess quite sounds quite nice. So that's how
yeah.
it came about.
No, I
So
like that.
yeah.
And I do want to kind of mention that you have to raise funds to do this
Oh
every
gosh,
single
yeah.
year, don't you? You have
Yeah.
to raise an astounding amount of money to keep it open, and it helps so many people. The age range that you do and the span you do it for, you
Mm.
try and help people of all, from 4 upwards, from diagnosis right to, as long as they need you,
As long as the need is, yeah.
and
So
everybody within the unit.
we have to raise 200k a year. So that's quite frightening. So I break it down to 5k a week, which sounds a little
Yeah.
bit better.
Yeah.
But
5K a week.
yeah, that's it. Which, sometimes is daunting in itself because we're every year you seem to be faced like everybody else. You're faced with a challenge. If it
Mm,
wasn't COVID, it was economic challenges, and then it was lack of funding. Grants change all the time. So
mm,
we're really reliant on our community that support us. So from businesses to private members to grants and trust and foundation to somebody who may put on an event on our behalf and host it. So yeah, it's tough. It's really tough, and each year you hear of different organisations closing down, and you think, well, where they're going to go? Because
yeah.
our motto is if you can get to us, we'll support you. Because the last thing I wanted was you've not got to fit a box because it
Yeah.
takes a hell of a lot of courage to make that phone call, send that email, write that letter, or even walk
Yeah.
through the door. And the last thing you want to be told is, I'm really sorry, but we can't support you.
Yeah.
So it's a big no-no. So for example, last year we knew we were tired by the end of the year because the team were exhausted, and but
Mm.
we supported 5,500 people last year.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's,
Wow.
that's a credit to the team, but it's also quite frightening to think
Yeah.
how far do we go? How far can we reach? When do we have to be mindful that we have to stop? We will never stop. We'll never turn anyone
But
away,
yeah, like a
but we have to be.
capacity.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
buildings are just not big enough now. It's amazing building, I have to
It
say
is
so
an amazing
myself.
building. Just the
Thank
first
you.
thing that hit me, I walked through the door and it was just that smell, that welcoming. It was just such a nice, peaceful, welcoming place. I will never forget the smell as I was walking through and just, yeah, no, it is a lovely place to visit.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's and the guests contribute towards that as well, because they have a say. Like some of them can be quite vocal, quite verbal. We just say, well, I know we work miracles, but some of them we can't. We can't always grant. We can't always do,
Mm.
because we're just limited to the space that we have. We've used, as you've seen, we've used every nook and cranny we've got going,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
we support the children, and we can only support that every Friday because they have to have
Mm.
their own area. But yeah, we'll get there one day. So the aim is to build our own home. It would be nice to do that in the next 5 years, but you still got to raise money to keep the main one going, and then you've got to look at a potential pot to build our own, and you're looking at 2.5 million plus.
Wow.
And then so when you say that to our finance director, it's like, you want to do what? And I was like, yeah, I know.
But think of all the people you're going to help. Think of
Yeah,
all the
exactly.
people.
Yeah, by the time then I'll
Um,
be 65 and hopefully retiring.
well, they need to get you a big gold plaque that says CEO and founder. Just they need to put that on your badge now. That needs to be on your
Yeah,
badge.
don't think my badge will get big enough anymore.
No.
No,
But
it's
go on.
I was just going to say a title doesn't mean anything to me, to be honest with you. It's just
Mm,
making sure that we're there for each other, we work as a team, we support each other, and
mm,
it's important that that Zoe and myself and our core team look after our volunteers, because without them we can't do what we do. And you
mm,
should never underestimate your volunteers, because they play a vital role in the support that services provide. Yeah, and you need your core management as well, but they're
mm,
grant funded, so it's important to me that that pot stays constantly topped up, because if we lose our centre manager, then we potentially lose the capacity to enable us to run and do what we do, and that then stops me from going out and sort of like selling our wares, to attract investors and to attract supporters, and come out to you and explain to you what we do and why we do it and how we do it. So yeah, it's just working together, isn't it? And being smart and being supportive.
In your experience, from your own experience of being a loved one of someone who's had cancer and someone
Mhm.
that's founded a centre that helps thousands of people, do you
Mhm.
come across common like myths or misunderstandings, not necessarily from within the cancer community itself, but almost like from the wider world, that's almost a barrier to people getting help, do you think?
Um, you can do, but I think that again, it all boils down to education. It all
Mm,
boils down to communication.
yeah.
It also boils down to respect, because
Mm,
you obviously have communities that and faiths and religions that like to support it
yeah.
within,
Yeah.
and won't reach out. You can only offer, and then it's
Yeah.
down to the individuals if they want to take it forward. And that's, I think, is worldwide. It's not
Yeah.
just within certain areas, it's not within certain geographical areas. I think it's something that the professionals have difficulty with as well.
Yeah.
But I think if we can all pull together, and give the same message and give the same kind of support, then eventually, we'll get there.
mm,
Many years ago, you wouldn't have someone like ourselves and the
mm,
medical world and outsiders in the same room,
mm,
whereas now you do. And that's just all about change and
mm.
embracing change as well. Because let's be honest, we don't all like embracing change, but I think we have
Yeah,
um, to keep moving forward. Technology and research is always improving. And as long as we can keep doing that, and as long as we can all keep pulling together, then yeah, we will get there eventually, I think, to crack
yeah.
it. It's not going to happen overnight though, and it will take time.
Just keep
Just
chipping
keep chipping
away
away. Yeah, exactly.
until
And as
it just cancer gets into talking about cancer becomes a safe
yeah,
public conversation where
yeah,
people actually feel safe enough to go, this is really heavy.
yeah. And
'Cause
also as well as yeah, go on, sorry.
no, 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 go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And also as well, I think if you don't know, don't guess,
Mm,
because that
yeah.
can be so wrong.
Yeah.
Don't pretend you medically know if you don't know, because
Yeah.
you could be giving false guidance.
Yeah.
And that is really scary.
Yeah. It's
It's
potentially to people try and say something. They either don't say anything because they don't want to get it wrong, or they try and say something. And when they try and say something, it's not always, it's well meant, but it's
mm,
the intention is there, but it's the things like, oh, so and so I know had that cancer, and they
mm,
died after 2 years, and it's like it's not, it's
mm,
the same cancer, but it's not the same person, or
no,
they there are people that have been told in the past, oh no, chemotherapy is really dangerous, and they've decided not to do it, and we know what the outcome is. It's like if you're not, it's like you say, you deal holistically with the person, and you leave the medical side of it to the medical
yeah,
professionals. That's it's a partnership between everybody that's involved.
mm,
So I agree. I think it's an education thing. I think language sits at the center of it, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And here I am,
mm, mm,
kind of getting loads of people that are making differences, and people from within, the people that are being treated for cancer. Even then, I try not to say battling. Battling cancer
yeah,
implies there's a winner and a loser. So even then, I try to be
yeah,
really careful.
mm,
That's the woman coming from a woman who still says her one-legged son has feet. The amount of
mm,
times I go, put your socks on, like he's only got the one. It's a sock. It's not plural. So
yeah.
language sits at the heart of everything.
It does, and also as well, I think sometimes we have to be mindful of assumption as well.
Mm, mm,
It's if you don't know, like in our world,
yeah,
we don't know. If we don't know, we say to our guests, look, we don't know, but leave it with us and we can find out who does. Because
yeah,
obviously, we're connected with other organizations as
mm,
well. And one thing that we are really passionate about is that we wouldn't signpost you
mm,
to somewhere we didn't trust.
mm,
Because again, we would like you to be held by them as much as we're holding you. So we often say as well is that we take hold of your hand, we stand by your side until you're ready to let go. And that's really powerful,
yeah,
because they then just, the whole family unit or the person knows they're not, they're never alone. Um,
yeah,
and that's really important.
yeah,
They're never alone. And if I know I can't emphasize it enough, but if the Hummingbird Centre doesn't know the answer, then we will say to you, look, I'm really, really sorry. We don't know the answer, but just trust your Hummingbird, trust your team, trust me,
mm,
and we will try and find out for you. And I think as long as, if people are doing different things to support those who are
mm,
impacted by cancer, if they give the same communicative message,
mm,
then we're getting there.
Yeah.
It's always frightening when you hear somebody say, well, have you tried this because it might, or, it worked for me.
Yeah.
And it's just like what might be
Ugh.
right for one might not
Yeah.
be right for another. So yeah, it can be a bit scary sometimes. Like my dad was a nightmare. He found that seagrass or something was really good. So he
Mm.
filled the freezer with fridge with blooming seagrass. It was absolutely vile, but it was
Mm.
disgusting. And he kept saying, Maisie, you want to try it? It's good for you. And I was like, yeah, it might be good for you, Pops, but it's not one I want to go down,
Yeah,
thanks.
no, thank you.
No, and
No,
that's
thank
the other
you.
thing as well. You hear of so many myths and so many sayings,
Mm.
and you just have to remind people that okay, it might be right for you, but it might not be right for someone else.
Yeah.
Your treatment may be similar to somebody else, but your fears and your emotions probably are the same.
Mm.
Like we find sometimes you get somebody who's come to us for the first time or a few times and they're still a bit nervous, and
Mm.
then eventually start coming in a bit more. But they might hear someone say, oh God, I had a real rough time with my chemo yesterday. And suddenly you see them go, because then they start talking to you because it's something that they've got in common.
Mm.
Michelle may have had a tough time with her chemo, and then she's heard Claire's also had a tough time. So you've got a common
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
but you just are wary that you shouldn't, Michelle shouldn't say to Claire, well, try this, or vice versa, because you just
You're
don't
different
know.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, you're different people. I'm not saying that we protect you from it all the time, but you just keep your ears open to what might be
Yeah.
going on just in case someone gets the wrong message.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just wanted to thank you for absolutely everything that you do for people within
Thank
the
you.
cancer community. It is such an isolating experience.
Mm.
And thank you for remembering people like me
Oh, so
who
it's really
are
important. It really is important that you do remember
who
the support people.
yeah, it's incredible what you do, and I will help raise awareness and funds as much as I possibly can. Once my
Thank
feet
you.
get a little bit quicker and the London Marathon decide that they want me, I will
Oh,
let you
crikey.
know.